Well, hello. Welcome to another Monday in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. I am so glad. I can't believe it's Monday already. These Mondays roll around really quick, but it is the joy of my existence to come into the meditation room and invite you into the room as well for wonderful conversation about this sacred and significant season in our lives called midlife and all the things that come along with it. Welcome to this safe space. I'm so glad that you are here where you can find all things enlightenment and empowerment for women in midlife. Thank you all for always being present, for always joining in the conversation. And can I tell you what conversations we have had the month of October? Because it is October has gone from just a day to a whole month of menopause awareness. October is Menopause Awareness Month. Can I tell you how many women that I've talked to that said they didn't even know such a thing existed? I didn't either until about a year ago. And so I thought, how appropriate would it be for Mondays in the meditation room that we really focus on it? And we've had special guests all month long. We started out with, who we call our resident physician, the Dr. Sharon Allison Adi, who came and really kicked off the month perfectly, giving us our health tips and keeping it real like she always does. And we talked about transformation, embracing transformation in midlife. Then was so excited that we had, midlife really is a range from 35 to all the way up to 65. And we wanted to talk to some women on that beginning stage of perimenopause and menopause, and Dr. Takesha Harris and the Reverend Dr. Takesha Harris and Tamika McFadden came on and really talked about what it was like to be diagnosed early perimenopause, what it's like if you still want to have children, what it's been like to really embrace this season of their lives where they are. And it was called, Is It Just Me? Having that perimenopause experience. And then my good friend, Reverend Melody Boone, the CEO of Liberty Coaching and Consulting, came to join us talking about reclaiming our confidence in midlife. Man, that was so powerful. You have got to watch the replay. It has been phenomenal. And y'all know how I am when I just love our Mondays in the meditation room theme. I just listen to it. It's such a vibe. I'm trying to talk and not just start dancing and vibing in the midst of it. But thank you. Go ahead and make some comments. If you are here, subscribe, share, and then engage. Make sure you engage your notification bell so that you'll know anytime we are on. So once again, welcome to Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. How are you doing? How are you doing on this last, was not the last, we have another Monday. It's almost the end of October. Do you believe it? We are at the end of 2020, almost in this fourth quarter. But I hope you've made a decision to finish strong, not having not gone through anything, but reflecting on the year. And I just believe that you have grown, you have evolved, and you've become more powerful than when you started this year. If you just reflect and realize you've made it thus far, then absolutely, as Letticy says, bravo, give yourself a round of applause as we continue on this journey to learn, to grow, expand our thinking and our well-being. So tonight, I'm so very excited as we continue this conversation about menopause, perimenopause, and thriving in this season. Tonight, we're talking about thriving in menopause, and we're talking about not just in our body, but in business. Statistics say those who have started the most businesses over this last year, the last couple of years, even in the midst of a pandemic, guess who it's been? Not just women, but Black women. Oh, man. And can I tell you, we are so excited, and I am excited to meet a new friend that's going to come and have a conversation with us about it. I've asked all the guests to introduce themselves, but I just want to say this. I just am so excited just to be able to say that she has stepped into her calling to help women manage their menopausal symptoms and be entrepreneurs. Wow. I'm excited to let her introduce herself and tell us about all that she is doing. Help me welcome to our platform, Dr. Joyelle Ballard. Yay. Let me get her up. Yes, yes, yes.
Yay! I was back here like, woo, yes!
So excited. So, as the women will come on, we're going to keep going because what I love about taking leaps of faith, you never know how it's going to go. And I'm learning how uh, not do things because I want it to be perfect, but to do it
Mm,
because it's what I'm absolutely called to do. And that I believe that whenever the women come on, whenever they watch in replay, they're absolutely going to be blessed. I love looking at the comments 2 weeks later and 3 weeks later, people
yes.
come across it and watch it. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for midlife musings. It's a mouthful, but I absolutely love it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. K, for having me. I am super excited about this conversation. And you're right, it's a vibe in here. It is just totally a vibe. So thank you for inviting me on this show.
Yay! And I mean, I think it was not happenstance that Dr. Brown told me about you and shared it. It was perfect timing because even as I'm doing this, I'm doing things, building a business. That's what I'm calling it. My business coach said, I need you to own it. I said, well, all right. She said, we
Yes.
were having lunch and she said, it is your business. It's yours. So you work it like it's yours. So, and don't be reticent to literally say it and claim it. And
Mm,
so to know that that's part of your niche, your passion that you are doing for women in midlife, I'm so excited. So please just tell me a little bit about Dr. Joelle.
yes. So, yes, I'm Dr. Joya L. I am the Menopause Mogul, and I am a business coach for Black midlife women who are 40 and over who have a desire to build a service based business but feel stuck and overwhelmed with midlife changes. So
Mhm.
I help coach them. I actually coach them to navigate through these midlife changes using their authentic power so they can use their power to build a thriving business with more confidence, more energy, clarity, and focus. I'm also a board certified OBGYN, a certified menopause practitioner, a wife, and a mother of three. So I am doing all the things. I am doing all the things.
Oh, please. Oh my God. We definitely need to hear from you because when you said to do it with clarity and focus, I was like, yes. Because that menopausal brain fog is
Yes, ma'am.
Can I tell you when I discovered the International Society for Menopause, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know existed, although it's based in UK, and then there's the National Menopause Society. But the International Menopause Society has a theme. The theme for this year, 2022, is literally brain fog and memory difficulty in
Mm-hmm.
menopause.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real. It is totally real. So
Yes. And when I posted about it and people were like that, oh yes, that brain fog thing. I thought, oh man, it's a real thing. We're like, yes. And I think that's part of the challenge because women think they're the only ones or that it's not real. They try to
yes.
explain it away. And so when you said that, I thought, yes, so the women need to hear that. I didn't talk about that earlier when I discussed some of the things we would talk about, but you mentioned something when you said service-based business. Can you talk
Hmm.
a little bit more about that? What that entails when you say service-based business?
Yeah, so I wanted to, because I am definitely in a season of service, right? Like just my whole journey through my own perimenopause experience, and then my experience with building a business that just serves women in this
Mhm.
capacity as they're going through these midlife changes. I wanted to also help other women do the same thing. Like, instead of like just focusing on a product, but actually building an actual business that serves just different things, whether it's a therapy practice, whether it's an online business that provides coaching, whatever that service is. Because I think that's what we're designed to be here for, like to serve
Yeah.
other people, right? Like so I'm just passionate about helping other women, including myself, just be able to serve and just feel the joy of serving. And not only serving other people, but serving yourself, right? In your gift.
Wow.
When you're walking in your purpose, serving yourself, like you're actually doing something that God actually designed you to be. So I just want to, be a part of the other women's journey of
Mhm.
building something that actually serves other people and find joy in doing that.
I love it. I love it. And it's so true because I think when women are in that space of wanting to build something to help other women, it may seem like that's not a business, but it absolutely is. One of the young ladies that was with us in the Minnow Lounge, I'm getting excited, just getting used to saying that. She has a reflexology business.
Mm,
I do souls, and she talked about it, and I said, "Oh yes, I'll be making an appointment." And
yes.
I looked, and she had made a post from one of the other young ladies that were there. They beat me to it. She showed a picture of her being there, and that is definitely a service-based business. She is reaching out, helping women to relax and to have another wellness modality to use.
Yes.
And I was so excited to hear that. So thank you. So I want to ask, because you mentioned that you were a board certified OBGYN, talking about your journey. Well, first, let me go back to that was your passion and what you're doing. If you would talk about Dr. Joy L, but just you as a woman, what would you say about yourself and who you are as a woman in midlife?
A woman in midlife. Whew. And let me just say, I'm still evolving, right? Like it has been like just to watch and experience the evolution of me into these
Yes.
midlife years has
Yes.
been like mind blowing,
Mhm.
right? And I feel at this point, I would say if I would describe it in one word, I would say freedom.
Yes.
Like
Oh my God. Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
I just feel so free, like
Mhm.
free just to be me.
Mhm.
Because being a black woman in medicine, right? Like I have, through my education and training, it was always where it says I had to shrink myself and not really be all of me because I had to watch what I say, watch how I act, and doing all these things. And now I'm like, this is me. Like, take it or leave it. Like, this is
Me.
how I'm coming in the room. Like, hello, Dr. Joyelle is here, and
Yes.
this is me. So
Yes. Yes.
so just being free to be my authentic self unapologetically, and just and just do me and just be me. That has been the most fulfilling part in this evolution, because like I said before, like get leading up to this point, I was shrinking myself,
Mhm.
unsure of myself, and just all those things that come along with
Yes.
just
Yes.
life, right?
Mhm.
So at this point, I'm really like owning, like you said, owning that you won't own a business, owning that I am free, owning that it's okay, owning that I'm enough to be me, right? Like that is the biggest part. Like I am enough and I am worthy of all the things.
Oh, oh.
So
So
that's who I
you
am
know what?
in
You
these
really
midlife years.
are. Oh. Just kindred sisters. It's like you were in the Minnow Lounge with us because that was one of our mantras. That was one of our declarations
Mm-hmm.
that we were worthy,
Yes.
and acknowledging that many women still struggle with feeling worthy
Yeah.
and walking in that level of freedom of who they are. And that is so powerful. I was just, I mean, everything you were saying, I was like, yes. And the women are saying that they are evolving, that they are growing, that they are. That's the thing that we talked about in this time with the women together, is talking about allowing ourselves to change, allowing ourselves
Yes.
evolve, to grow, to change, to we talked about the power of self-acceptance.
Mm.
Accepting who you are, accepting your story, your journey, whatever it
Yes.
is, not leaving any of it out because it's all a part of the mosaic of who makes you who you are. You don't have to be identified with any of those experiences. They were just experiences, and
Exactly.
into that place of comfort and freedom with your own self. And so,
Yeah.
thank you for saying that because that is exactly what midlife is about. This transition, this I've been calling this a rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
Come through it, you're not supposed to come through it the same.
No, you're not supposed to. And like you said, have just accepting that you're changing. And, for me, like giving myself permission to change because I think
Mhm.
a lot of women, and even myself, we feel like we have to be that old self. We have to be the same like we were, in our 20s and 30s. And, like we hold on to that. And that resistance, I feel like that actually causes more stress
Yes,
internally.
yes.
So for us to be, like I said, accepting of the growth, accepting of the change, giving ourselves permission to evolve,
Mhm.
and we talked about self awareness, but self discovery, like actually learning to know yourself again in this season of your life, because this is, like you said, it's a rite of passage, and this is an opportunity
Mhm.
for us to really like dig deep and tap into ourselves and really figure out what we want, what we need
Mhm.
in this season, and go after that. And don't be afraid to, like you said, just stay back and be like we used to be. We are arriving. We are arriving in this
Yes.
season.
Yes, and I've used so many different words, but it's all true. It's we've called it an awakening. We've called it
Mm-hmm.
a rebirth. It is all of the above, because the core and essence of who you are has always been. We're
Yes.
to embrace it. So,
Mm-hmm.
whew, okay. So I told you this conversation is so organic and it flows, and I'm just okay trying to woo. Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's talk about, because you talked about being an OBGYN.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that journey to becoming an OBGYN, and then the journey to your decision to focus on where you are now.
Yeah. So it's funny. I never planned to be an OBGYN. Okay. I actually wanted to be a pediatrician. And I did my rotations in medical school, and I was like, I don't really like pediatrics. I'm not really feeling this. I'm not really feeling it.
Mhm.
And I never, like I said, I never would have thought, I'm like, pap smears, I'm not doing that. Like, and I did my OBGYN rotation and delivered my first baby. And I was like, oh man, this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
This is what I'm here for. So that's when I decided, and I also love the fact, I also loved surgery, but I didn't like the fact when surgery, you operate on somebody, you never really see them again. So
Mhm.
I love the spectrum of OBGYN, where I actually can see a woman, in her teenage years, or young womanhood, and then as she's having her babies, if she decides to, and then as she's getting older, so I can see a woman in that whole spectrum, all those stages of life. And
Mhm.
so I really love that aspect of OBGYN. So and just focus on women's health. Obviously, I also loved, I'm my oldest of 8 children. I have 5 sisters, so I always love sisterhood and just
Oh, wow.
building my sisters up. So I just definitely wanted to work with women also. So that's how I got into OBGYN and love delivering babies, and love the GYN part too. And then as I, finished my residency training and went into private practice, I, everything was awesome, great. and then I started having my own perimenopausal symptoms at the age of 39, where I
Mhm.
had night sweats, I was irritable,
Mhm.
I was a hot mess. And but I was pretending on the outside that I was totally fine. Like, I'm fine. It'll all just, it'll be fine. It'll just go away eventually, right? So that lasted for a few months, and then I actually got pregnant with my third child.
Mhm.
And then after I stopped breastfeeding him, probably around 7 months or so,
Mhm.
my perimenopausal symptoms came back like a vengeance. So more night sweats, hot flashes, irritability, acne,
Mhm.
weight gain around the midsection. Like, it
Mhm.
was just all the things, and I really felt like I was losing myself. Like, I
Mhm.
was like, I don't even recognize this person. I don't even recognize this person. So that was a moment I was like, okay, I need to do something. I need to do something about this. But again, I was still like, I'm busy. I got 3 kids now. Like, I don't have time for this. And then there was a moment where I was driving home after a long day in the office, and I had to pick up the kids from daycare and school. And I remember wishing I had toothpicks to keep my eyes open because I was
Woo.
so exhausted.
Mhm.
So exhausted. And I was like praying, like, God, please get me home. Get me home. And I'm like, oh, drinking water, open the windows, the kids in the back eating snacks. Like, they don't have no idea. Like, mommy is struggling up here trying to get us home. And I finally get home. I thank God that I made it home. Because I nodded off at the wheel at least twice.
Mhm.
And I that was the day I was like, okay, I have to do something. I can't. This is not sustainable.
Right.
So that's when I decided to, really kind of delve into my journey of what I needed to do for myself in order to get myself out of what I was feeling and really feel comfortable in my skin again.
Mhm.
So I really focused on prioritizing me. And once I did that, I wrote my book, so I can also help support other women
Mhm.
in the menopause space. Because the other thing, again, I was also seeing a lot of women in the office, having all these complaints. It didn't really feel like there was a lot of resources out there for them, and
Mhm.
especially Black women. When you look at the
Yes.
menopause space, there was white women. I was like,
Yes.
where the Black people at? Like, where?
I was like, what? Black women don't go through menopause?
Exactly, like Black women out here struggling. They out here
Mhm.
struggling, and we go through it too.
Mhm.
So that's why I wanted to write my book and put my Black face on the book, so people know, like, yes, honey, Black women, we are going through this. We actually go through it worse than white women. We have more
Yes.
intense symptoms. We have
Mhm.
longer transitional period, and we can go through menopause earlier. So we have a different experience.
Mhm.
So I really became passionate about just creating a platform to build that space of, informing women, enlightening women about menopause, and also changing the narrative. Because
Yes.
we talk about menopause, people talk about, oh my gosh, it's like doom and gloom, everybody's afraid of it. And I really wanted to change it. Like, no, it doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. This can be the beginning of your next level in your life. So really focusing on back to what you were saying in regards to self-awareness, self-discovery, like all those things, and really kind of tap into that, and really, get into our, closer to our higher self and our souls and our spirits as we're getting in this next season of our life, and able to do the things we want to do that we always wanted to do, that's already in us, but be able to do that with confidence through this season of their life. So that's how I
Yes.
ended up here.
And because we're always talking about the fact that we get to redefine the narrative about
Mm-hmm.
it, and not just, just by default going to a season of sadness is over. I can't do this anymore. I can't do that.
Right.
And we talk about this is a season of redefining it, not chaos, not crisis, although you feel like you're in an identity crisis,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just part of the passageway to get you to where you need to be. That's why I thought this was just everything you have been saying is like yes and yes and yes and confirmation and affirmation and yes. So I am yes. So then my next question would be, um, what would be your guidance? Because would have to say, initially when I started, I was clear. Then I was a little reticent, and then I was just like, forget it. I'm gonna go for it in really focusing on Black women, because that was my. It's like looking in the mirror. It was the same
Yeah.
story when I started deciding to write about it and focus on it as a part of my business. And I started researching. It was at that time. It felt like a dearth. It was like hello, hello, like an
Right.
echo out there. Like where are the Black people? And I
Right.
was so excited when I ran across an article, and because it had something about urban women research, da 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 da. I was like, yes. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, when I clicked on it, I started reading it, and I was like, these names, what they're saying, and I literally Googled image of the art.
Uh-huh. Right.
When those images came up, I was like, see,
Mm. Mm.
why you got to use the word urban? Just
Right.
don't do it.
Right. Right.
And I found that the spaces and the products that were being introduced, because they're just now starting to turn the corner,
Mm-hmm.
see how many millions of women who in the next 10 years are going to be in this menopausal space. Before, it was ignored, nobody
Right.
talked about it, doctors weren't being trained on it, the whole
Mm-hmm.
nine yards. But now they're starting to come up with all of these products. And I noticed initially the list of persons who are coming up with products for women in midlife, there was only one um, company, was called Claire, and it was two women of color.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is great. But slowly but surely, we're starting to come in. And exactly what you said, our needs are different.
Yes. Yes.
And that whole starting earlier, more intense, and longer is the research including us?
Mm-hmm.
That was my concern. I was like, well, who's researching Black women and women of color?
Right.
And that, when you said that, I was like, so what would you say, or what would be your guidance for Black women concerning their reproductive health, or especially in midlife? Like, are there certain things from the beginning spectrum of that, like 35 to 40, that we should be doing, and then from 45 to 50, or whatever those ages, if even if you would break it up that way, what
Right.
guidance would you give us?
Yeah, so I would say, 35 to 40, and just honestly, all of age groups, especially Black women. I think the first thing is for us to check in with ourselves.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that, as women, as Black women, we are, we're used to taking care of everybody else and putting ourselves on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
We put our needs, we put our wants, we everything for us is like we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta take care of this. Gotta take care of this person first. Gotta do. So I think the first thing for all age groups is to really check in with yourself in regards to how you're feeling mentally, physically, and if you're not feeling well in one of those aspects, what's going on, and see a physician about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's your OBGYN, whether it's your primary care doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And don't ignore different nudges that we get, whether it's headaches, whether it's pain here and there. Like I've done it myself. Like I've had headaches for weeks. I'm like, it'll just be fine. It'll just go away eventually. I got the kids got this over here. I got to do this for my
Oh my
husband.
goodness, yes.
So I think definitely checking in with yourself is important. 35 to 40. Also, again, just thinking about you as if you haven't had children yet, are you planning to? Do you want to? And potentially thinking about having a consultation in regards to freezing your eggs, if that's something that you're
Mhm.
actually interested in, because a lot of people don't talk about that either as an option. So just having the conversation. You don't have to like move forward with it, but certainly have the conversation on the options, because again, we also are very high achieving and career oriented, and we decide to have children later on in life. I started at age 35.
Mhm.
So really, again, kind of checking in with yourself. Okay, I'm 35 now. So what are my plans, for having a child if I want a child? Like,
Mhm.
if it's something that, if I'm not with a partner right now, what are my options for freezing my eggs just in case? So just have that conversation in regards to that. I think it's important. And I also think, even started at the late 30s, because cardiovascular disease is the number one killer of women, and especially Black women. And
Mhm.
I think it's a silent killer. We don't really know if our high blood pressure is high or if our cholesterol is high until we actually check in. So I think it's also important to check in with, with your primary care doctors,
Mhm.
with your blood pressure checks, with
Mhm.
all your blood work to check your cholesterol and things like that, to stay on top of that, because that can sneak up on us. And especially when we reach menopause, those things we are at high risk for that, for the high blood pressure and high cholesterol, which is the risk factors for heart disease. So I think it's important for in their late 30s to definitely be on top of having their regular physicals in addition to their OBGYN exams,
Mhm.
regular physicals where they're getting their blood pressure checked and monitored, and as well as their OBGYN exams. And then when you reach, between 40 and 50, we talk about, our breast exams, our mammograms, and things like that. It's definitely something to add on to your regular physical exams. And I think it's also important for us to be aware of our family history, because that also
Mhm.
impacts our reproductive health in regards to fertility. That can potentially, have an impact also on our menopausal health, our cardiovascular health. All those things impact our breast health. All those
Mhm.
things can be impacted on what we potentially may know about our family histories. So being aware of that also is important. And beyond, between 50 and beyond, again, being on top of our physical exams. Also, we have to worry about our bone health and making sure we're exercising and doing weight bearing exercise and strength training to support our bones. That's also important. And then also, I want to include vaginal health. We forget about that part. So
Mhm.
vaginal health is also important. So, again, when you're having your exams and also examining yourself, like a lot of women are afraid to look down there.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that we learn to look down there, once in a while, like, check to see what things
Mhm.
look like, because that helps, especially as we age. Things change down there, so it's
Yes.
important for you to know like what it looked like before. So when you come into the doctor and they ask you like, so what it looked like,
Wow.
was that spot here before? And you'd be like,
Mhm.
I don't know because I haven't looked down there. So it's very important for you to also have a sense of what's happening down there, what it looks like down there for for future health as far as vaginal health, and also the external, the vulva and things like that on the outside.
That that I just want to say thank you for just those few minutes, because that is so true, because that was one of the things we talked about with to Keisha and Tamika that are on the beginning spectrum. And I want to say they were their 37 and 42, somewhere
Okay.
in there. And
Mm-hmm.
those were the conversations they were talking about, because Tamika had been diagnosed early that she was perimenopausal, and that was
Mm.
a concern about, having children and wanting to have children, and asking those questions, having the conversation about the viability of your eggs and freezing your eggs, and just talking about fertility and or infertility with Black women had, and that we had a really great conversation. They were very open and transparent about that we don't always provide that safe space for
Right.
to talk about it. So that was that. Thank you for mentioning it again. And I told them that I would have them come back so that we can really kind of dig deep and delve into that, because it can be taboo. You
Yes.
talk about freezing your eggs. Oh my God, why are you doing that? Or
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about you want to have children but you're not married. Go ahead and do it. And
Right.
that whole stigma around that conversation. So thank you for saying that, and we're gonna really delve into that again and have that conversation, because they were saying, it felt like nobody was talking about it or
Right.
wanting to talk about it. So that is great. So now I want to kind of pivot, because we can talk from now to
Right. We could be here all night.
um, I mean, it's so good that it's just getting started. I'm glad to be on this journey of destigmatizing, decolonizing, all of the above,
Mm-hmm.
about these things for women and Black women in particular. So, what are we going to shift a little bit? What are your passion or new projects now for you that you are doing?
Well, my passion is, essentially I have my online group coaching for my, clients where I am coaching, like I said before, Black midlife women who, really have a desire to build a business, but they feel overwhelmed, whether it's midlife changes, whether it's hot flashes, night sweats, brain fog, or just those, midlife just in negative self-talk that we have, perfectionism,
Mm-hmm.
fear of doing something that they've never done before. So really, supporting women and empowering Black women in that space where they can actually, my program provides them a space where they can actually kind of learn about all the things that they can experience in menopause, in perimenopause, and menopause, and beyond, what their body and their minds are doing in this season of their life. And then after that, kind of knowing, digging deep into themselves and get to know themselves in this season, what they're feeling, what they're needing at this point. And then unloading stressors that don't serve them in this season, where it's actually causing their symptoms to be worse, or their, the thoughts they have about themselves to be worse. So kind of focusing on that also, and then ultimately help them have confidence again to build this
Mm-hmm.
business, even while they're working their 9 to 5. So,
Yes.
so
Yes.
because I think a lot of women, even for me, like I was in private practice. I got 3 kids, and when God gave me the nudge to build a business outside of my practice, I was like, I don't got time for that. Like, who got time for that? Like, I don't have time. I don't have time. But it is so possible. It is so possible. So with my program, the process for my program is really coaching my clients on learning how to change their response to their menopause experiences. I think that also makes a difference when
Mm-hmm.
you feel like, so overwhelming, you just kind of just sit in that overwhelm. You
Mm-hmm.
can pivot, you can change that and change your response to what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and make it a positive experience. So once they do that, and then also get to know themselves, change the relationship that they have with themselves, because I think
Mm-hmm.
also we've been conditioned to shrink ourselves, we've been conditioned to, act a certain way, or not do certain things because of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So really change the relationship with themselves, that are able to actually build the confidence in themselves again, that they're able to step out of their comfort zone and build a business, and then also just have the energy to do it even when they're still working,
Mm-hmm.
because they know and they trust themselves again to actually be able to do it alongside the other things that they've been doing.
Do you take clients who want to be able to manage their menopausal symptoms, but they may not be this, they may be in the C suite, but they may not be their own CEO of their own business, but they want that help? Do you take clients that aren't necessarily starting their own businesses, but maybe high achieving, or just really working in an area of leadership, or influence in their companies?
Right. So my group coaching is solely focused on women who are navigating through the changes and also want to build a business. But I
Mhm.
also do offer one-on-one coaching for women who are like in a C-suite, who are maybe going through some midlife changes, but have this C-suite position and wants to continue elevating in that position, but can't because they're overwhelmed with their changes. So I do offer one-on-one coaching for that too.
That's great. So can you give us the name again? I love saying it, but I wanted the women to hear, because I thought it was so creative and so powerful, so specific, and so needed.
Yes. So the name of my program is Menopause Moguls. Menopause Moguls.
That is so powerful. I
So
love
yes,
it.
you can go through menopause and be a mogul in any industry you desire.
Yes, I absolutely. When I saw it, I was like, yes, it's the perfect marriage for where I am right now
Yes.
in building this. But it really is a service-based business, and for me, my focus and niche is to really help women to not just master midlife this season, but to master their midlife inner life. That's what we're
Mm.
talking about building. That's why we spent that time in meditation when we were in the mental lounge, spending that time with sound healing, creating the
Yes.
environment for reflection, for going inside, for healing, because that was one of the things that I really ended up talking about in my book, just hitting that brick wall.
Yes.
It was like, what is going on? I'm leaving everything and everybody. I'm with everybody.
Right.
Mad. I'm mad 1 minute, I'm crying the next minute.
Exactly.
And
Right.
when you hit that midlife, you're looking back over your life and you're like, oh, I should have did this. And why didn't I have that
Yes.
season? And then, I hit a wall of depression because you're thinking about, why I should have did this and why not,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. And just coming through that is all a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having programs like yours and spaces like this, and look, going to LA,
Yes. Yes.
just reminds you that it's a part of it. And the whole goal is to come out um, refreshed and anew, thinking completely different
Mm-hmm.
about yourself and your life and this process. I'm excited to be able to do my little post when and say some of the things you said, and say by Dr. Joelle said those things. That was so powerful. It kind of just flowed from you. But when you said change your response, that is because the more we fight against it
Yes.
or walk in disbelief that it's happening,
Mm-hmm.
the harder it is to get through it.
Yes.
And so I am so excited. I hope if I don't know if any I see some women are on, but if you all have any questions for Dr. Joelle, because what I'm going to do now is before we have our final question, because time goes by so quickly.
It
I'm like,
does. It does.
oh
It's like it's
my God,
over
41 Oh
already.
my gosh, it's to talk about your book, where I'm excited about your book. It's the title of your book and how they can find it, what your social media handles are, where they can find you.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you. So my book is called Loving Me, Myself, and Her Through Perimenopause and Beyond.
Mhm.
And it's all about self-love. I had to learn to love myself again in this season of my life, and I wanted to share that with other women, as far as like also a guide for women to kind of learn just more about knowledge is power. Learn more about what to expect in menopause and perimenopause and those type of things. So you can find my book on my website at drjoelle.com, as well as more information about Menopause Moguls program on my website also. And then on social media, I am everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, as Dr. Joyelle, DrJoyel, LinkedIn, Joyelle Ballard, MD. And yeah, I think that's it.
We talked about, I shared your book with, I think it was the second Monday with Tamika and Takesha,
Mm-hmm.
talking about, that um, 35 to 45 kind of age range, and just trying to navigate life, and
Right.
so I gave them the title of the book then. So we're going to keep sharing that, keeping that resource out there. And I always do, if you have it, if that's your book behind you, just get it and put it up to the screen, because
Oh,
that's
yes.
at the end I say, the enlightened woman, inspiration and reflections to rediscover the joy of being you. And that must be the theme, Dr. Joel, in midlife and beyond. I love it. So we're gonna make sure
Yes.
we keep putting it out there, because I want Black women to see that there are resources and help
Mm-hmm.
from other Black women.
Yes, definitely. And thank you, Dr. K, for you creating your platform and your space, because this is awesome. So I really appreciate you for giving, Black women another space to, commune and just really rally around each other and support each other in this season. Because, like you said, it can be rough out here. It can
It's rough out here in these menopausal streets.
exactly, in these midlife streets. We need all the support we can
I
get.
love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm excited. Thank you guys for joining us on tonight. Whether you watch this on the replay, make sure you share it with another sister, and share the information that Dr. Joelle has shared with us. Oh my God, pick up the book, do what we can, because we're not in this alone,
No.
and we're not helpless. We are victors. We're not victims. We might feel like it from time to time, but that's
Yes.
not the space that we are to reside or to
Mm.
stay. This is a great awakening for us as you come into your own. and embrace it. So, our final question for our guests on tonight before we close out is, if you could give some advice to your 25-year-old self. I know that wasn't that long ago for you, but
It was quite a bit of time ago.
what would you share with her?
I would share with her, sis,
Mm.
pour into yourself first.
Ah, woo!
Pour into yourself first without feeling guilty about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say to her.
That second part, without feeling guilty
Without feeling
about
guilty.
it, that whole
Yes. Yes.
feeling guilty, that whole needing to wear that superwoman cape, that
Mm-hmm.
rescuer, all that kind of stuff, we have to release that
We
and let
have to
it
release it. Let that go. Let that go.
go. Mhm.
Yes,
Oh
definitely.
my goodness. This has been absolutely phenomenal. We're going to have you back. We're going to have to have you in the Mental Lounge. We're
Yes, honey. Yes.
for our 2023 Serenity Experience Getaway for Women in Midlife. And they're going to be like, you bringing Dr. Joel again? Yes, yes, and yes.
Yes, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, this has been just so life giving. And
Thank you so much.
that we need right now. So I thank you. And women, we always say, in my time, in my space, when I call this my meditation in the meditation room, because I'm literally in my meditation room. I tell the story all the time. When my son got ready to move out, I was like, dude, I need you to know I'm going to transform your room into my meditation room. And he did not believe me. So he came back and I had painted the walls and put some new curtains up and
Right.
hung some pictures and stuff. And just as I used to do it at 9, but I moved it up to 8 because I had to really begin to, like you said, prioritize yourself. I had to give
Mm-hmm.
myself some margin in my evening time.
Yeah.
I realized I needed my power down time
Mm-hmm.
and to prepare to rest and to sleep. And one of the things I love candles. So I
Yes, me
found,
too. Me
oh my
too.
gosh, the Harlem Candle Company. We always talk about Black women owned businesses. That Harlem Candle Company.
Oh, I'm gonna look them up. I don't know about them. Harlem Candle. Okay.
Yes, the Harlem Candle Company. One of my favorites is Josephine, because she literally names it, around
Yeah.
the Renaissance.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes, and so I get in here, I listen to my theme song a couple of times, have my candle going. But I say that to say to the women, we've talked about their nighttime ritual to just begin to power down, take
Mm-hmm.
some time to do things that calm your senses, power down your devices, and just be with yourself so that you can begin to train your mind and your body that it's time to sleep, especially for those of us who struggle with that midlife
Yes.
insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'm giving everybody that margin of time and everybody's life is different, but find a moment. It don't have to be an hour. It don't even have to be 30, just a few minutes to just gather
Exactly.
yourself, celebrate yourself for making it through another day and not focus on what you didn't get done. Celebrate what
Yes.
you did do and get some
Yes.
rest and peaceful sleep as you embrace this amazing season of enlightenment and empowerment in midlife. I love y'all, absolutely love y'all, and I look forward to seeing you again in the meditation room with Dr. K. Thank you, Dr. Joy L, for
Thank
being with us on
you.
tonight, and we look forward to having you again. Good night, y'all, beautiful souls. See you again. Talk soon.